Yes, long form video. Wow, Memon makes long form videos every 3 years. Boo. Get it over with. What has compelled me to come out of my. Wait a minute. I just hope my tower of Hanoi that I have built to get this recorded does not fall off. This is how crazy we sound. Anyway, I'm here and we are doing this. The fuck? Oh my god, I'm gonna have to take off the clock from the wall, otherwise it's gonna keep ticking. But something has happened that has made me come to my natural habitat. It's a swarm that has been infesting various corners of the internet. Now let's go back to the beginning because that's where we start here. And that's why you're here. You know that. So, the CJI of this country made a comment calling people cockroaches. Now, that's a whole thing. It was in the context of some case. He said there are people with fake degrees and they turn out to be social media activists, and then they turn out to be RTI activists, and why they're using that to attack the system, yada yada yada. Now, see, what ended up happening is that Gen Z took that very seriously, very personally, because they have never in their lives been insulted like that, and they have never in their lives been so dehumanized. But being a Muslim femme presenting person in this country, I know exactly what dehumanization looks like. So I didn't make that comment to my entire personality. Now, obviously, it's very telling that Gen Z took this so personally. Why? Makes you think, right? Is that the first time you've been insulted by somebody? So initial thoughts when this whole cockroach situation came along. These apolitical kids have never in their life seen the kind of mess that they're seeing right now with paper leaks and unemployment and SIRs and vote chori and what have you, right? Their first instinct at this dehumanization is to reclaim it and use this as fuel against this very state. The state that is suppressing them and also not providing them with basic needs and basic infrastructure and basic resources. So that's the reaction. The next thing would be the language itself. Language is important. Now I'm going to read something that my friend Randy posted about how fascists deploy dehumanizing language. Now, fascists deploy dehumanizing language in order to strip populations of their humanity, like the way Palestinians are called human animals within Israeli discourse. Hence, the historical precedent is for this language to be redirected back at fascists. In Germany, the Nazis came to be described as pests, vermin, and cockroaches, once people realized that it was impossible to fight fascism with civility and liberal respectability politics. So people did not reclaim this language, but used it back against those in power. You cannot decide on behalf of everyone to reclaim that word simply because there are people in this country who have been treated like cockroaches for much longer than you. And no, we don't want that word for ourselves. You can have it. Then came the question of whether this thing is legit or not. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories floating about whether it's INC or the founder is an AAP member. I don't really care about all of that. But someone did ask me whether if this thing was legit, I would vote for them. And the answer is immediate no.
Cause I don't care.
Yeah, immediately no. Immediately no. Immediately no.
And I'm going to read out what I told them. Some of the top comments under those posts was along the lines of, we should make a party with no discrimination, no religion, no caste, no class. I'm like, okay, so no ideology? Because this is some I don't see color bullshit going on here. No religion, no gender, no caste. And how are you going to do this? By doing no material analysis. So why not acknowledging the Islamophobic and casteist reality of the Indian society and being ahistorical? That's stupid. Okay, first of all, that's impossible. Second of all, it's extremely liberal. Most of the people who have been associated with this movement are extremely liberal and are not leftist enough or radical enough for me to give them my support. So no, I would not vote for them. Millions upon millions of people have been disenfranchised in our country as we speak. रहने को घर नहीं है, खाने को राशन नहीं है. And these people are out here doing kiki and making cockroach memes and jokes and selling cockroach merchandise. So yeah, I'm out.
I think this is a liability nightmare. You don't have any claims that you can back up, so I'm out.
This is the time to be angry, man. I don't know what to tell you. This is the time to be angry. This is not the time to be making memes. Obviously, I was not the only person who was being critical of this movement, quote unquote, but using the word movement very liberally, just like the movement itself is. People like Only Theoretically Hot on Instagram have been constantly criticizing the movement and talking about how this is not revolutionary. And I agree, it may have revolutionary potential, this is not really a revolution. So to sum up the leftist criticism of Cockroach Janta Party in a nutshell, leftists started talking about how, hey, this is not really a proper revolution, it's not really a proper movement, it doesn't really challenge systemic or structural issues. And the reason behind most of that is, one, changing the government, changing the laws does not change your lived reality. It does not change the material conditions in which you live. As we know, changing the government does not mean changing the ruling class. The ruling class remains those of the billionaires, or as we call them these days, the Epstein class. We are living in a system that cannot be reformed. Looking for reform in a system that is beyond repair is not going to help you organize a revolution or any kind of mass mobilization. So if you think voting, making a party, asking for the education minister to resign, all of which falls within the ambit of the structure that we're already embedded in, then the reform is not reforming the way you'd hope. Instead, leftists started advising these Cockroach Janta Party members and karyakartas to instead mobilize and show support to the movements already on ground, or supporting people who are already working on ground. Then आया criticism का criticism, because anytime anything happens on the internet, leftists start building a Russian doll of criticisms. तो आप एक doll खोलोगे उसमें criticism, फिर उस criticism का criticism, बड़ा मजा आता है. Then somebody said, and a lot of people said, that ये तो सिर्फ एक internet movement है, ये तो सिर्फ एक satire page है. Why are you putting so much expectations on them? And ये क्या leftist infighting चालू हो गई? पहली बात, infighting.
हम मत बोलिए, अपने साथ मत जोड़िए हमको, अलग है.
Infighting.
I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative.
So somebody posted about how launching 500 critiques on a non-movement, which admittedly does not have any ideology, does not have any stage, is futile. And a lot of people agreed with that. They said that let's let it go on for a month. Why do you want to shadow something that has just been conceptualized? Let it breathe a little, give it some time, maybe it will go somewhere. And yes, people were right in saying that left ने कौन सा बहुत ज़्यादा mobilize कर लिया है. Like Cockroach Janta Party, giving credit where it's due, has done a great job of mobilizing people online and amassing a huge following. When was the last time leftists got half as much attention? Like when was the last time a leftist post got like 50k likes? And yes, people also said that हाँ वो करने दो leftist को critique, leftist की कौन सुन रहा है? And seriously, कौन सुन रहा है leftist की? हमें maybe अगर सुनते तो हम इस दुर्गति में, दुविधा में, संकट में नहीं होते.
Control उदय.
तो मैंने बोला ठीक है यार, ये भी सही है, क्योंकि मेरा मानना क्या है ना कि अपना टाइम नहीं भूलना चाहिए. There was a time where a lot of people who are politically aware, socially aware, used to have problematic views. I was not the most politically sound person, but political engagement के बाद ही learning and unlearning का मौका मिलता है. So if this crowd and this mob of Gen Z has gotten their first taste of political engagement, then maybe we should let them have it. At the same time, left के valid criticism को आप पूरी तरीके से dismiss भी नहीं कर सकते. Leftists and a lot of liberals started talking about how this is intellectual purity and this is political puritanism and you don't need to have a perfect revolution and this is the problem with leftists and leftist infighting will lead to leftists eating each other up or whatever. But like I just said, this was valid criticism from the left that could not have been dismissed. And once again, only theoretically Hot beat me to it and posted another banger analysis. I'm obviously gonna sum up this post that they've made. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna just read the whole thing. But you should totally go read it yourself. It's their latest post, which is titled, "Is left puritanical, exclusionary, elitist, hasty, jealous, or completely pointless when it criticizes the CJP?" Answering all allegations put up by content farmers and left lib. And I'm not just going to read the whole thing. I have a few thoughts that I want to add here and there. But before I jump into that, I really want to talk about, I believe this is also a lot of content farming and a lot of bot-like behavior. Now that's because when the first day the movement had started and the party had formed, I had made a video about workers in Noida protesting and being framed by the UP police and wrongly incarcerated under national security laws. That video got so much traction, which we needed because we need more people to talk about what is happening to workers in Noida and student activists and political activists and journalists. But the comments were absolutely flooded with cockroach. I get this really sketchy DM from somebody called Rabindra Karan Charasya, who seems to be associated with INC and is asking me to make a reel or something for this. So I don't know if this is a movement started by INC or AAP or whatever. I don't think they're that creative and original, let's be real. But I do know that it is definitely being hijacked by other political parties. So yes, there is also that element of this. And then there are comments like these being left under my video, which make it so obvious that there is so much content farming that is happening here, and there is so much bot-like behavior that makes this whole movement sketchy. Now coming back to the post I was talking about. Ever since CJP trend came up, it sparked conversations from different spheres, while liberal spaces began to look at this as the rise of the first mass movement of the youth. Finally, questioning the government, right wing began to discredit it for being foreign funded, non-neutral stance, up connection, and so on. That's some usual quarrel. But in left, there emerged a mixed response for how mixed left as the term is, as one section began to criticize CJP for their limitations, deviations, and reactionary nature. Another section emerged to call such criticism as puritanism, exclusionary, hasty, asking to give CJP more time, or saying yes, it's deviating, yes, it will lead to nothing, but insert random counterpoint. But why must CJP be criticized, and in what ways? And is criticizing them Puritan? Is this section really criticizing a point that is out there in dominance? The most leading allegation is this a superiority issue. Is it about intellectual superiority? I doubt so. Yes, there may be a section that might be choosing to simply ridicule this movement without really offering an explanation for it behind it and suggesting what else must be done. But again, that section doesn't reflect those putting forward valid criticisms. The two are then different sections. Now about the latter. Is this a showcase of intellectual superiority? Because we are intellectually superior. No. This is not the only case or time that intellectualism is being argued against. While there exists valid criticism for intellectualism that doesn't align with ground realities, not in all cases intellectualism is wrong. It forms part of the left because leftist discourse requires nuance, more explanation, going to the roots, unlike other opposing politics like of liberalism and right-wing, where one can raise people on vague and oversimplistic issues based on only emotion and rage. I wonder who they're talking about. Anyway, because left movement is a conscious one, it has to be elaborative. To see elaboration as intellectualism is pretty wrong. The whole anti-intellectualism has often been used by the right wing to discredit valid arguments of the left. The argument against intellectualism, while can be valid in one case, is simply being misused in this one. They go on to say, in the same way, another otherwise valid argument is being misused here, that of ideological puritanism. Puritanism is a long-standing issue and debate among the left. The anti-purity discourse basically means that one cannot expect a perfect revolution. There will be some misses and some leaks, and it cannot have a pre-decided time or space. To demand the revolution to be pure is therefore wrong. However, this is one of the most misused concepts by the revisionists and now also this lib-left section. When revolution is demanded to not have to be of complete purity, it still has some standard. To basically turn the idea of revolution upside down, to mask a liberal reactionary movement as mass revolution, and then using the argument the left is demanding complete purity here, hence puritanism, is a deliberate misconception and intellectually dishonest, might I add. The anti-purity course is about actual revolutionary movements being allowed some misses, not anti-revolutionary movements being allowed free hand. Now the other argument, but give them time, it's only 4 days. This argument assumes that the left criticism is being hasty because it's not allowing CJP to unfold. Two major problems with this. One, this is to assume that the CJP movement is a one-off phenomenon, that it is ahistorical. But that's not the case. It is quite visibly a repetitive pattern that is not only theoretically but has enough evidences from near past itself. And second, and more importantly for me, if you base any criticism purely on the moment, forgetting present is linked to past, or there is any pattern in the world, every move of CJP establishes what it aims to do. The rejection by the CJP founder of Nepal and Bangladesh is actually an example of liberal puritanism. It is only today that they have decided to do some actual work, and I have some thoughts on that as well. And that work is signing online petitions. And just yesterday, their campaign was unfollowing BJP. And sure, given how powerful BJP is on social media, given the IT cell and how they have weaponized the internet and even IT laws now to suppress any kind of dissent or opposition, that can be taken as a win. But what most of you are forgetting is that majority of the country does not live in the phone on your camera apps. Coming back to this post I was reading. CJP's own moves and statements serve as enough evidence of the nature of their movement and where it leads. To simply argue to give someone at least a chance is also kind of what many thought in 2014. But if this movement is so useless, why is left even talking about it? Because left doesn't find it useless. You're simply putting words in their mouth. You're exaggerating the left's criticism and content farming. Left considers this movement vital because of what sparks it. And that's where the actual and major interest lies. This movement does come out of the deepening crisis. Even if it doesn't represent the revolutionary elements, it becomes evidence to this crisis. And this is precisely why most of the leftist discourse I have seen on the issue is talking in those terms. That yes, there is a crisis. Things are worsening. Things were actually pretty worse, but you are not seeing it. Now you see it because the fire has finally reached your doorstep. So take this opportunity to learn about it. CJP is definitely a good start, but it's nowhere near an end. See what you were not seeing before and learn why all of that happens. That's the point of left criticism. Coming to the allegations of exclusion. Is the left being exclusionary? Maybe, if one, but it will also push the ones who disagree with this criticism. That's a simple logic, which is here being presented as a crime. Yeah, how dare you criticize? This is actually the example of puritanism. They expect that the left must convince everyone, all 100% of people. If from its arguments it doesn't do so, then it's exclusionary. As I mentioned earlier, left movement is a movement built through consciousness. Unlike other movements, it cannot instantly cater to every section equally. So the need of building a meaningful movement is kind of one limitation. Another limitation is that unlike liberal and right-wing movements, movements that are promoted in the system, left movements are actually suppressed and villainized, as we've seen with all the reaction to the criticism that CJP has got. So what we say, where we say, always gets limited. Combined with the need of saying the conscious and right thing instead of popular and incorrect thing, it limits the reach again. So all in all, no, the left is not being exclusionary. In the context of CJP then, what must be the left's approach? The whole CJP fiasco is definitely a mixed bag, people following it for different reasons, with different mindsets, considering there is no set ideology. It will have soft sangis, apolitical people riding the bandwagon, as well as those who are questioning the system and now are getting an avenue. This mixed bag, however, is being led by reactionary forces. In this scenario, those aligned to it for a genuine belief and who are questioning the system are the ones who will see its limitations the first, and as they do, they might find it very confusing as in what should be done. This is the lot, even though assumingly smaller, that is on the verge of developing consciousness and willingness to do something real. And these are the fence sitters that we should be focusing on. The criticism of CJP is being done in this direction to serve this lot. They're the ones closer and more likely to find the left's presentation as more valid and eventually join the conscious movement. So the criticism is happening not because left is puritanical, elitist, exclusionary, jealous, or whatever terms are left to throw. It is happening because CJP must be criticized and warned against. It is happening to give direction to those who will necessarily be disappointed with CJP and either go into complete despair on its failure or look for an alternative. Content farmers don't really understand political organizing, for it has never been even close to it or probably will never be. But there exists more reasons to things than simply human emotions. So is the left puritanical for criticizing CJP? No, the left simply knows the pattern of liberal movements and how they're co-opted by the systems that we're in and is warning against those. Are we intellectually superior or elitist? No, anti-intellectualism is not cute. Read a book. Are we exclusionary just because we're not converting 100% of people? No, what we are doing is hoping to convince the fence sitters who are on the verge of developing class consciousness, so they know where to go when all of this goes to shit. Because if we've learned anything from the anti-corruption movement and Aam Aadmi Party and whatnot, it is going to shit. So I'm going to offer my last piece of criticism. While the CJP may have its potential, you can't overlook the very valid criticism and the flaws that they already show. For example, asking the education minister to resign. What is that going to do? The education minister is one person. One person can be easily replaced by another person. One system can easily be replaced by another system. That is how Vyapam was easily replaced by NEET, and now students continue to suffer. Students continue to lose their lives. Students continue to commit suicide. Papers continue to be leaked. The demand should have been to dissolve NTA altogether, because that is the agency that is responsible for not just the syllabus and setting the paper, but ensuring that the paper conduction happens smoothly. Now instead, students are toiling, giving one futile entrance exam after another. In fact, if we were to take this one step further, I would say that the CJP should have focused on how commercialized education has become and how capitalist vultures are waiting to privatize education and turn it into a business. But I'm not sure they're ready for that conversation yet. But hope is revolutionary, hope is praxis, and in spirit of revolutionary optimism, I'm going to end this video by saying that from the 18 million followers that CJP has amassed, if even 1,000 people mobilize on ground, and from those 1,000, if even 800 or 500 people start their journey of political engagement, because let's be real, Gen Z is not as progressive and as forward-thinking as they think they are, or as they want to appear. Gen Z is conservative as hell.
I was humiliated! As if people don't hate me enough!
No matter how much liberalism, radicalism, and progressiveness they would like to perform, what I want to see is, if even 100, 200, 500, let's be optimistic, 1,000 of these people look around, snap out of the right-wing Hindutva mass psychosis that they've been in since 2014 now, and realize just how fucking dumb, stupid, and violent they sound, and how they are the mob that they've been taught to fear, then kya burai hai?